This is a call for an uprising. Welcome to today's show. If you want to hear something absolutely ridiculous, it shows you how channels like this and many others out there are really starting to get to the mainstream media, really starting to get to the globalists. We see the censorship now on YouTube and what they're trying to do to people out there who are trying to expose what the real fake news is. Now, schools are teaching kids how to separate fact from fiction. They're going to start teaching children about how they can detect and fight the fake news. Well, at first glance, you might say that's absolutely ridiculous. It sure is. But if you think about it, what a great place to teach kids about fake news. All they have to do is open up their history books that's provided by the school system. Open it up, start reading it. Lots of fake news in there. Open up your science book. Plenty of fake news in there as well. So they're technically, it's just an oxymoron, right? That in school they're going to teach children about how to detect fact or fiction and what fake news is, when the entire school system is based on a world of lies. Absolutely unbelievable. Get a load of this, some of this reading material and how they're teaching them how to detect fake news. It says Jennifer Aniston did what to her hair? Screams the headline. Below the headline is a photo of the actress with a military buzz cut, along with a quote about how she'd shorn her iconic blonde locks for a role. The online article printed on handouts that Alexis Gerard has distributed to her class at Clemente Middle School in Maryland is startling. It's irresistible. It's fake. Gerard is using the story to remind the 11 and 12-year-olds they shouldn't believe everything they read online. And like I constantly say, right, they are targeting these young children. They want the next generation of kids to be they want the society to be completely godless, without Jesus Christ, without the mention of his name, Christianity destroyed. They know that people like myself are trying to target these younger children. That's why a lot of my content is geared towards waking up, young teens, 10 years old, 12 years old, 8 years old, people who are looking for some of these things like Beyonce or whatever these videos are, because I know that it'll show up there. And they can say, wait a minute, let me take a look at this. Okay, that's kind of interesting. And then there's other, musicians, Drake, Katy Perry, whoever, and they start thinking and they start, processing what's going on. That's why I don't like to gear my content towards people who are already awake. I can cover that stuff easily, but my focus is on waking up the young kids out there, or at least waking up some people who might be older who are just starting to wake up, and getting them to start seeing these things and thinking this way. And this is just more proof that they want and have to target these young kids. It's another thing. We have the Satanic School program, right? The After School Satan program targeting these young kids. It's not a coincidence. It's the it's the demographic below us. It's this young generation that's coming up, how important they are. I constantly emphasize that. That's why I try to target them and make sure that they don't fall into the brainwashing. The teacher goes on to say there's so much fake news out there. They really don't know what's true anymore. There is a lot of fake news out there. Just turn on your television. Channel 2, Channel 4, Channel 7, Channel 11, Channel 10. Go into the 20s for some MSM, or go in there for some CNN, some Bloomberg TV. I mean, you name it. There's tons of fake news on television. Fox News. It's all out there. She says that's why educators like her around the world have launched programs to help students navigate this bewildering media landscape. In the Czech Republic, high schools are teaching teens to identify propaganda from Russia. In Sweden, students as young as 10 are being schooled on how to consume news. And in Pennsylvania, a state lawmaker wants mandatory media literacy classes in all public schools. What a surprise. This is how you know that they really, really are starting to get nervous, that the awakening is getting bigger. And I know a lot of people out there, and all we can ever do is speculate. When Pizzagate came out, everybody said they planted this story as the fake news story. I have felt since the beginning it's the other way around, that they never expected this to blow up the way that it blew up. And the fake news is what they had created, and maybe they had it planned to do it at some point in case something ever did happen where people started to catch on to them. But I believe that specifically, because that starts opening things up, right? There's all these conspiracies with Sandy Hook, which really aren't conspiracies, they're all hoaxes. But people still refuse to believe that. But when it came to the child trafficking, like I've said since day one on this channel, that would be the thing. And you can go back back and watch my old videos. That would be the one thing that would create a mass awakening, because nobody would sit back and allow these kids to get abused and molested. So when that stuff came out, this is really, they got panicked. And that's my belief, that's my take on it, that they panicked, and now this is why this is going forward. Because they want to make sure that they have everyone under control, and they're realizing that quote-unquote alternative media is actually teaching people about them, about Zionism, about the Jesuits, about the Vatican, the corruption, about Satanism, about Crowley, all this stuff. This is a sophistication in how this false information is disguised and spread can make it very difficult for someone, particularly young people, to determine fact from fiction. So pretty much they're saying is, we don't want you to make an opinion on any of these stories, because pretty much what I do, and a lot of people do, in addition to teaching about the symbols, the signs, the Masons, and all that stuff, is look at these news stories and look how fake they are. So it's pretty much an opposite opinion, right? When you have Fox News and you have NBC, you're getting an opposite opinion based on the false paradigm. You're getting the liberal perspective and the Republican perspective, right, or conservative perspective. But when it comes to stuff like this, they don't want anyone ever questioning a story. That's why in the news you'll never hear September 11th was an inside job, Sandy Hook was a hoax. You won't hear that on the mainstream news. What you'll hear is, here, we'll let you have a difference of opinion based on being a liberal or a conservative, because they want to create the illusion of freedom, the illusion that you can still make a decision and you can pick a side, because that's part of human instinct. They know that naturally humans are going to pick a side, right? That not everyone's going to get along or agree on everything. So they give you that false paradigm. But when it comes to these stories, they'll never, ever have a channel on mainstream TV that starts questioning if it's a hoax or if it's real. They just tell you, well, that is real. And then they say, but let's get back to the, the Republican Democrat thing and all the bad stuff Trump's doing and all the bad stuff Obama's doing. And that's how they keep everybody locked inside this matrix. It goes on to say kids are web savvy, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're media savvy. A survey by Common Sense Media released earlier this month really brought home that point. In it, 44% of tweens and teens said they can tell the difference between fake news stories and real ones, but more than 30% admitted they shared a news story online only to find out later it was wrong or inaccurate. Right, and they tell you it's wrong or inaccurate on TV in the mainstream news. And I'll tell you what, if you're somebody who's listening, obviously you're awake if you're listening to this channel. But pretty much 99.9% of the stuff you'll hear on TV is fake news. Doesn't mean that, all right, if they have a story about a bill that's going through or something like that, that it's not real in a sense. But, any of these events are the CIA, the world governments are behind all of this stuff. It is a gigantic, it's colluding is really what it is. It says there was sort of a filter on what was available for kids, says Bob Thomas, a middle school education technology specialist. Boy, that's a nice title. He's referring to the traditional gatekeepers of old media. And now those filters are all off. Anyone can publish anything on the web. In a way, it's a sad thing, right? Because it's formulated. They want everything to be the way they want it to be without questions. And this is where it gets funny. It says fighting against fiction. How do you prepare against that? For educators, it means equipping themselves with some new weapons. One of them is a course created by the nonprofit The News Literacy Project that teachers from California to Virginia are adding to their classrooms. It includes a 10-question checklist for identifying fake news. Now, this is funny. If you click on the News Literacy Project, and you can see some of the people who fund it. Oh, what a coincidence. Look right there, the Rockefeller Foundation funding it. The Rockefellers who own and control the media. Because they don't want you questioning any of the fake crap that they're pushing out in the mainstream. So of course they fund it. I mean, how funny is that? That the News Literacy Project, which is pretty much going to make this mandatory at some point. Because, listen, it's not just going to be, we're going to shut your YouTube channel down, we're going to censor you, because that will wake people up too, because people will say, why are all these channels getting shut down? Why can't they have a different opinion? What they're trying to do is smoke us out. Okay, that's why I said, I added a Patreon account, and I'll leave that linked up below, because they're smoking us out. They're trying to take, for those of us who are trying to, do this full-time, make 3, 4, 5 videos, as many videos as we can make at a time, many videos a week, they're trying to smoke us out by taking the monetization away. They're saying, okay, well, that's why you have to be careful with how you name the videos. They aren't just going to, allow monetization on videos that are talking about the race war. There's trigger words that they block. So that's why I'm trying to be very careful when I name the titles of my videos, because I know that it just goes through an algorithm, and immediately they'll say, no, you can't monetize it if you're talking about the race war agenda because they know it's real. That's how it works. So they're trying to, for the most part, smoke everybody off of YouTube into, saying, okay, well, I can't do this anymore. And that's why it's important, for people out there, cut your connection then to the mainstream media and help out channels out there. I'm not saying help me out, whatever channels that you like, because it is going to continue to be a smoke out process. That's what they're going to use to try to get people off. And then what they're going to do is they're going to continue to groom kids and poison their minds. Like all the things going on, it's important for them to be able to detect what's real news and fake news. They're pretty much saying you can't have an opinion and you can't question anything that we tell you. That's what they're saying. It's about conforming. It's complete crap. And it's absolutely hilarious that the News Literacy Project, if you look at some of the foundations on there, they're both Zionist connections, but you get the Rockefeller Foundation, who controls all the media. So of course they don't want you, listening to or reading or following channels like this and many others out there that expose the crap that these people are all about. And some of the red flags are easy to spot. In the story, is the story missing a byline? Is the headline in all caps? Guilty as charged. Guilty as charged. I guess they're talking about me because I do use all caps. Yep, that's a good way to label me. Is there excessive punctuation? Are they promising you something the media doesn't want you to know? Right, so if a title says something along the lines what they don't want you to know, they're saying immediately they want you to trigger something in your mind to say it's fake news. If it's all caps, like I use, to instantly say it's fake news. Because they're going to trigger it. They're going to program these kids and go, look, when you see this, that's what it is. Just like, look, when you look up in the sky, right, and you see clouds, you think, well, it might rain, right? You don't look up at the clouds and go, oh, it's going to be, clouds for miles and miles. It's going to be a beautiful day today. Because you've been programmed, you understand that. You see it, you process it, you know. That's what they're going to do with this stuff. Oh, if you see all caps, it's fake news. If there's missing a byline, it's fake news. Right? Excessive punctuation, fake news. Are you promising something like the world's ending or whatever these headlines are that they consider to be promising something? What the government doesn't want you to know. Click here, kind of a thing. They go on to say, figure out who published it. Is the tone a little sensational? Is the content generally trying to inform you or just trying to get you to see ads? I mean, you see how they twist it, and they're going to twist it into a money-making. I mean, it's unbelievable that this is something they're focusing on teaching kids. And like I constantly say, they don't teach kids how to farm. They don't teach kids how to live off the land. They don't teach kids about herbal medicine, about how, you can use nature to heal your body. I mean, all these things that how to build with your hands, how to build a home, build a shelter, none of this stuff. That's why people look at us now, and they go, oh, we're so advanced. Look at those people back in the 1700s, 1800s, living out in the woods. And if those people were here now, they would think we were the stupidest race of humans to ever exist because we don't know how to do anything with our hands. We don't know how to properly farm. We don't know this stuff. You know why? Because we allow the school systems to raise us, and they raise us on nothing but lies and programmed us to believe in nothing but lies. It goes on to say that teachers are saying it's working. Part of the reason kids, particularly middle schoolers, are inherently cynical. Patricia Hunt, who teaches government at a high school in Arlington, Virginia, says her students were already learning how to evaluate sources academically, so doing the same for news sources was a natural next step. Question what you hear, she says. Question authority, she tells them. Question the perspective. Question the sources. Okay, so then why are you why can't you tell the kids then to question the news on the television set? Oh, because we're supposed to believe that the source, like CNN, is a credible source because it's on TV, and we're told what? Oh, the people who went there are all journalists who got their master's degrees at Harvard, are all part of secret societies. I mean, give me a break. Yeah, the kids should question what they hear from that teacher specifically and anything on the television set. All people like myself are trying to do is wake people up to the lies of this world. It says at Atlanta's Midtown International School, 6 boys and a girl sit around one big table. Their assignment, find a story that interests them, find what's false within it, debunk it, and then create a public service announcement to fight back against its lies. Oh, you can't make this stuff up. This is what they're teaching kids now. What more do you need? Do I even need to continue reading? Teaching the kids how to debunk a story and find out it's false. Why? So what do? They go, well, let me cross-check with something that's completely bought and paid for, like Snoops or whatever that's called, Snopes. Let me go to the TV on with CNN and see Sandy Hook coverage and see the crisis actors who have IMDb pages who are playing multiple roles in Sandy Hook. No, they just want the cross-checking and the debunking it is just going against anything that's not in the mainstream. And then they want them to fight back against the lie. So they're trying to brainwash these people to go, oh, it's fake news, that's fake news. And we're seeing that happen. We're seeing people go crazy over anybody who is questioning, the system, and they're calling it fake news. Right? We have Trump every day going fake news, fake news. And is he right? Yeah, CNN is fake news. But that's part of the plan. Because if you think about it in the perspective of mind control, by Trump calling everything fake news and looking like a maniac and then lumping to people like us who are quote unquote supposed to be conspiracy theorists, it's doing the plan that they want. It says the students work independently, but they can't help but pass their computers around, sharing the articles they find too ridiculous not to laugh at it together. So look at the seeds they're planting here. So they find stuff and then they laugh at it. Yeah, it's so ridiculous. Go through some of my videos about, the trafficking of children. Oh, that's real funny, right? What, the Illuminati symbols, I guess they're finding funny because they aren't trained to look for symbols and signs. I mean, this is the next wave of how they're going to brainwash these kids. They don't have a choice because people are waking up. There's a lot of teens that listen to this channel, and I'm very grateful for that. And I try to, target and go towards them because I know how important they are. I know that they're the ones, that they really want to completely go after. People in their 20s and 30s and 40s, where a lot of us are already deeply down the rabbit hole and very much awake. But it's hard to get someone who's 10, 12 years old to start waking up. You can't just immediately talk about something like, CERN or, anything that's like really deep in detail. That's why it's important, I think, to go after the movies, the entertainment, as well as these other things, because they immediately start seeing this stuff. They go, wait a minute, okay, I watched these music videos, now I start seeing the message. And then they start going down the rabbit hole, but you can't just dive down the rabbit hole, your head will explode. I mean, all of us, when we woke up, it took steps, it took time, we needed to step away. I still need to step away sometimes, but it's almost impossible for me to. But it's just important to keep focused on, whatever methods we can use to make sure kids out there aren't falling into this fake news paradigm that they're trying to create, where they're trying to decide what's fake and what's not, because the school systems are going to be brainwashing them with this crap. And that's how nervous that all of us have made them. Not me specifically. You, the listener who's talking about this, sharing it with your friends. All of us, we're all on the same team. We're all doing this together. We're all trying to help and wake people up. That's why it's important to continue this battle. I'll leave the article linked up from CNN, and you can see them talking about the people who are behind the News Literacy Project, which apparently is going to be the next wave of public schools making it mandatory to teach the fake news. So they'll take away a class or they'll add a class. It's about fake news. Meanwhile, they're sitting in a building that's giving you nothing but lies after lie upon lie, which never mentions anything about any of these elite bloodline families, the control, never mentions anything about Satan. I mean, it's a world of lies, and they are nervous and rattled, so we got to keep our foot on the pedal. I thank you for listening to today's show. God bless all of you and your families.